Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video on the Gooners and Gloves Podcast channel. In today's video, it's going to be the 53rd Gooners and Gloves Podcast, and I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and reactions on Arsenal's game versus Fulham in the Premier League. I'm currently watching it. The first half has just ended, so I've decided to take a bit of a new approach to these podcasts where I'll be doing it half by half. So literally just got finished watching the first half. It's half time right now, and so I'm doing the first half analysis, and then when the second half ends, I'll then do the second half analysis. I think this will just make the podcast a bit better. I think it'll mean it's more like it's less likely that I'll forget things from the game because I'll obviously be reacting to it as it just happened as opposed to trying to remember everything from the game, and it will also just mean that I can get the podcast out to you guys a bit quicker after the game. So hopefully you guys enjoy this new format. Please let me know down below what you think, but this is how I'll likely be doing it from now on. I'll be doing the first half when the first half ends, and then the second half as opposed to doing it all at once. Obviously it feels fantastic to be back on the channel. I've had a 2-week break. It's just been nice to have a break, rest and recoup. Obviously the international break was happening, so Arsenal wasn't playing. Arsenal wasn't in the FA Cup, so that was an extra week to wait. And to be honest, boxing was a little bit dry in March. There just wasn't really a lot happening, but really excited to be back. Obviously, there's some huge games coming up for the rest of the season for Arsenal. I think now there's going to be games uninterrupted until the end of the season, which is obviously fantastic. Boxing is also becoming really, really good. And in fact, this week I will have a video predicting the Hrgovic versus Joe Joyce fight and also a reaction to that. So do look forward to that. And of course, all the other exciting fights coming up in April. But without further ado, let's jump straight into the first half of this game. So to be honest, it wasn't really the most exciting first half. However, Arsenal are leading 1-0, which is all that matters. We are currently winning, so we'll get onto the goal in a second. To be honest, it's not been the most exciting first half. It's been a bit, a little bit boring. Naturally, everyone's been on international break, and obviously, the teams aren't quite gelling together just yet, and we're definitely noticing it in this game. But nonetheless, Arsenal were able to open the scoring. Unfortunately, Gabriel did have to come off in this half, which really sucks. That's really annoying, especially with Real Madrid coming up so soon next week, which, by the way, what a game that's going to be. I can't wait for it. But unfortunately, Gabriel has come off injured. Obviously, we don't know how serious it is. We don't know how long, if he'll be out or how long he'll be out, but just judging off the fact that he came off in the 16th minute and he himself actually asked to come off, you can imagine it's unfortunately quite serious. So that really sucks because Gabriel is such an important player in the squad and so important to the defense. But alas, that is the reality. Gabriel came off. There was also a bit of an injury scare for Yuri and Timber, but thankfully he stayed on the pitch, so hopefully we don't lose him as well, because the last thing we want is to lose multiple defenders before Real Madrid. I mean, first it was the attackers and now it's the defenders. So those were the unfortunate moments of the half. Obviously Gabriel coming off injured, and also Yuri and Timber, a bit of an injury scare, but thankfully he looks like he's okay. Obviously we saw Bukayo Saka on the sideline, so you can imagine he'll probably be coming on in the second half, which I'm really excited about. Would love for him to bag a goal tonight. Hopefully he comes on, hopefully he scores. But yeah, so we saw Bukayo Saka on the sidelines, obviously really exciting. He's on the bench tonight, so it's good to see that he's back. Hopefully he'll get a few minutes tonight, and then we can start building up his minutes, and of course have him start in the Real Madrid games, because obviously he is integral to our squad and we're so happy to have him back. In terms of the game, to be honest, there wasn't really that much, but there was a good chance in the half before the goal was scored. Ranieri with a really good volley off a great Declan Rice cross. He crossed it in really well, and then Ethan Ranieri volleyed it. It was a really good shot, but a great save from Bernd Leno. And then aside from that, we obviously had the actual moment where we scored. So it was Mikel Merino, and it's great to see Mikel Merino scoring again. Really, really happy for him. Obviously, he scored against Chelsea, and he scored other goals as well. So it's just really exciting to see him score, especially given that he's had such a big responsibility put on his shoulders to kind of take that number 9 position, take that number 9 role, especially while obviously Jesus and Havertz are out, and we're currently looking for a number 9. So it's really exciting that he was able to score again. Brilliant ball from Yuri and Timber to Ethan Ranieri, and then Ethan Ranieri with a great assist over to Mikel Merino. Buzzing to see Ethan Ranieri continuing to shine and continuing to do well. Obviously, now that Bukayo Saka is back, you can imagine that Ranieri will either get reduced minutes or he'll just get good minutes in the midfield. But either way, he's been sensational this season. He's been fantastic. He recently went to the England under-21 team in the international break, and again he smashed it over there. So just a brilliant player, really good talent, and it's great to see him get another assist tonight. Great ball to Mikel Merino, and to be honest, the goal was a little bit weird. I'm not gonna lie. Like, at first I didn't even think it was gonna go in, but like, Merino did hit it and it deflected. It was a bit of a fortunate goal, I will admit, because he hit it and then it deflected off the player and into the goal. But alas, that's just how it happens sometimes in football. You need that bit of luck, and we got it. We got it with that goal. So Mikel Merino scores. We're leading 1-0. We've defended really well this half, as Fulham haven't actually had a shot on target yet, which is always a really good sign. Obviously, Fulham, as you can imagine, are, like, they're definitely trying, they're definitely creating some opportunities, but as you can imagine, they're playing 5 at the back, so while they're occasionally pushing up, I'd say for the most part, they are kind of just being defensive. I think they have something like 0.03 XG right now, but this isn't a shade on them. To be fair to them, they have come forward a few times, and they're definitely trying to create the opportunities, and we certainly don't take them lightly, and obviously, they could always come back in the second half, although, of course, I hope they don't, but that's how the first half ended. 1-0. I think even the fouls were barely there. I think literally there's been one foul the entire half, and it only came like 40 minutes in. So it's been a little bit of a dry game. Hopefully it picks up a bit in the second half. But alas, happy that Arsenal are leading. Mikel Merino scores off a Nwaneri assist. There was also the good chance earlier when Nwaneri volleyed it really nicely at Leno, and Leno saved it. And then, defensively we've been really good. So I forgot to mention that it was actually Jakub Kiwior who came on in replacement of Gabriel. And to be fair to Kiwior, so far he's doing well. He's keeping composed. He's defending well. And again, he's contributed to the fact that Fulham haven't actually had a shot on target, so fair play to Jakub Kiwior, always reliable, always there when called upon, may occasionally make the mistake, but for the most part he just tries his best for the team, and he's being called upon in favour of Gabriel. Hopefully Gabriel will recover in time for Real Madrid, but that remains to be seen. But alas, that's all I've really got to say for the first half. Not the most exciting half, not really many chances created on both sides, but Arsenal, with a couple of chances, were able to score through Mikel Merino, assisted by Ethan Nwaneri. We're leading 1-0, so yeah, on to the second half now. Hopefully we can start to pick up the intensity a bit, because I think even on our end the intensity just hasn't been there, and of course hopefully Bukayo Saka comes on and we can see him playing, and of course if he can score, that would be excellent. But without further ado, I'm going to go and watch the first half, and then I'll come back to you guys and do my analysis of the second half and kind of just wrap this up. So yeah, really hope you guys like this new format. I just think this will be a lot more efficient, as it means that I don't forget things, because obviously when I'm doing the full 90 minutes, like I have noticed in previous podcasts that I have like forgotten stuff that I wanted to talk about, because it's a 90-minute game, I'm not going to remember everything. But with this, I'm breaking down 45-minute increments, so it means that I can remember more of the moments and give more of an analysis. So yeah, happy with it. Arsenal are leading 1-0, and yeah, I'll get back to you guys when it's the second half, and I'll let you know how that went and give my final thoughts on the game. So yeah, see you guys in a second. Okay guys, so on to the second half of the game. Just got finished watching it. So the game ended 2-1 for Arsenal, so Arsenal did get the win. Just before I get into my analysis of the second half, I'd like to quickly apologize for the typo that was present in the first half analysis. Unfortunately, it said first half score instead of just score. Really annoying, but I only noticed it when I was just looking back over the footage for the first half. But the thing is, I was really happy with the way that I delivered all my points, and I think I came across well. I delivered them nicely. I think I explained everything really well, and I just know that if I try and refilm it, it's not going to be as good, and it's not going to be as natural and as authentic. So I do apologize for the mistake. I will try to be more careful with the spelling in the future, so please just try to ignore it. Please try to just listen to the points that I said. Really apologize about the mistake. However, as you can see, I have fixed it now, so now it just says score, so it's all good. But anyway, let's get into the second half. So it ended Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. Definitely a lot more entertaining of a second half compared to the first, which was great to see, because obviously, as I said, I did find the first half quite boring and unenjoyable, so it was good to see that the second half became a lot better. It started off quite frantically. From an Arsenal perspective, there were chances for Jurrien Timber, Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Martinelli, Declan Rice. They all had some really good shots on target that were saved by Bernd Leno, and then also Fulham had a really good chance through Raul Jimenez. It was a great ball from Emil Smith-Rowe, and then Raul Jimenez fired the shot with some really good power at David Raya, but David Raya was able to make the save, and then Miles Lewis-Skelly was able to intervene and clear the ball. So definitely a lot better, became a lot more entertaining, but I'd say Arsenal was still very much on top. They were still, creating the chances, doing well, and I would say in general we just looked better in the second half. We looked more threatening, we looked more attacking. And then, of course, the big story is that Bukayo Saka did end up returning. We'll get to Bukayo Saka in a second. Unfortunately, Jurrien Timber did have to come off, so he went down a second time, just like he did in the first half, and he was replaced by Leandro Trossard. So, obviously, that's the one big downer about tonight, is that both Gabriel and Jurrien Timber had to come off with injuries, which obviously really sucks and is definitely a downer, especially before Real Madrid. And as you guys will find out in a second, I would definitely say that their absence, like Gabriel's absence, definitely affected us, and it was a bit of a shaky finish, unfortunately. But Jurrien Timber came off. Jurrien Timber came off, and on came Leandro Trossard in his place. But of course, let's talk about Bukayo Saka. Absolutely buzzing that he's back. So he came on at around the 65th minute, and literally scored a goal at the 73rd minute. Literally about 7 or 8 minutes into his return, instantly scored. Brilliant to see Bukayo Saka back. Everybody in the stadium was buzzing. All the players, all the fans, everybody was really happy for him. And obviously, I was absolutely ecstatic for him. Really good to see him back after so long, and for him to get a goal. In terms of the goal itself, it was really, really well worked. So it was a great ball from Gabriel Martinelli. Gabriel Martinelli flicked it on really nicely for Bukayo Saka, and then Bukayo Saka, nice and composed, headed it in, brilliant finish, and obviously celebrated. And let's give a special shout out to Gabriel Martinelli. For me, Gabriel Martinelli was undoubtedly the man of the match. I thought he was fantastic tonight. Really good runs, really good passing, the movement. He was dribbling past defenders, and quite frankly, I think he was having a field day. And speaking of Martinelli, he did actually score. Unfortunately, it was ruled offside, which really sucks because Gabriel Martinelli for me was man of the match, so he deserved the goal. But alas, he got a brilliant assist for Bukayo Saka's goal, flicked the ball on really nicely, and Bukayo Saka, really good composure, headed it in. And yeah, buzzing for Bukayo Saka. He's now back, and it's excellent to see. Hopefully he'll be able to have an impact against Real Madrid. Obviously we've got Everton on the weekend first to think of, but yeah, Arsenal scored, made it 2-0, and from there, for the most part, I'd say it was comfortable. The reason I say for the most part is because unfortunately the last few minutes of the game were quite shaky, as we'll find out. But Bukayo Saka scores off a great assist from Martinelli, but as I mentioned before, we probably should have scored even before that. As I said, Declan Rice had a great shot that was saved. Yuri Timber had a really good shot that was saved. Martin Odegaard had a really good chance created on it to him by Gabriel Martinelli, which unfortunately Martin Odegaard completely blasted over the crossbar. So yeah, it was definitely a solid performance from Arsenal. We continued to defend well. But then, of course, we get to the end of the game, the last few minutes, where so Rodrigo Muniz from Fulham came on to replace Raul Jimenez, and there was a really good ball from Sessegnon, and you could see that kind of right side of the defense where Gabriel no longer was, where Kivior was. As much as Kivior did all right in the first half, I think he definitely didn't do as well in the second half. At one point, Adama Traore dispossessed him of the ball and nearly scored, but thankfully fluffed his shot, so that wasn't a good moment for Kivior. And then the ending was definitely not good for Kivior, as he completely loses sight of the ball, completely loses track of it, and then Sessegnon has loads of space, cuts in, passes the ball to Muniz, and then Muniz finishes it off, takes a bit of a deflection from Saliba and goes into the back of the net. And obviously it's just always annoying because like you want to keep the clean sheet in these sorts of games, especially when you're only a few minutes away. And on top of that, it just meant that it made the ending a bit more nervy than it could have, especially because in the last minute again Sessegnon was through in that same sort of exposed space and once again laid the ball off, but thankfully was cleared by Miles Lewis-Skelly. So that was it though. The game ended 2-1. So all in all, happy that we won, happy with the performance, but definitely some holes in the defense that need addressing, especially with Gabriel being off. Obviously, we don't know how long he'll be off. We don't know what happened. Obviously, we need to get more of an update, but you can only assume that he probably won't be able to play at least the first leg of the Real Madrid game, which is hugely unfortunate and is definitely a big loss. And as we saw tonight, there was definitely a Gabriel-sized hole in our defense ever since he came off. Kivior, he's not a bad defender, but he just is nowhere near the level of Gabriel, and once again, we saw that tonight. But alas, not too much negativity, as ultimately we did win. We won the game 2-1. Also just feels good to get the win over Fulham, because obviously in our last 3 games against Marco Silva's Fulham, we'd actually not managed to beat them. So it just feels good to actually finally beat them. Definitely more nervy than it should have been, but we got the job done. We got the 3 points. Bukayo Saka is officially back, and he scored. Obviously, Mikel Merino scored in the first half with a great assist from Ethan Ranieri. Saka scored with a brilliant assist from Martinelli. Martinelli also scored, but was ruled offside. And yeah, for me, definitely Martinelli was definitely the man of the match. I thought he was excellent tonight, and definitely one of his best performances in an Arsenal shirt. And hopefully we can keep seeing more of this Martinelli, because Martinelli's definitely been a bit hot and cold this season, where he's definitely been a bit up and down. But I think tonight he was definitely very much up, and he was excellent tonight. Really, really good performance, and for me, undoubtedly the man of the match. But anyway, that's going to do it for this podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Really happy to be back with the podcast, especially after a pretty big 2.5 week layoff. Just good to have a bit of a rest and recoup and everything. I'd been going to town with the podcasts, but I'm back. I'm really excited to be back, and I'm really excited to be getting podcasts out for you guys regularly. So please tune back in. In a couple of days, I'll be uploading my prediction for the Hrgović versus Joyce fight. Then I'll be having the Arsenal versus Everton reaction on Saturday, and then I'll have the Hrgović versus Joyce reaction on either Saturday or Sunday, one of the two. So yeah, but thank you guys so much for listening. So all in all, it ends 2-1 to Arsenal. Arsenal goals from Merino and also Bukayo Saka, and then assists from Martinelli and Ranieri. And from a Fulham perspective, it was Rodrigo Muniz from a Sessegnon ball. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great day. I'll catch you guys on another podcast soon. Please let me know down below what you thought of the game, what you thought of the performance, and of course what you think about Bukayo Saka being back and his performance tonight. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on another podcast soon. Bye bye.